It is 6 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. In fact, we are a full house. The first order of business is to accept the minutes of the August 31st regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Warren,
Second.
second by Shay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda, ferry service update. There is an advisory board meeting tomorrow. We had a finance subcommittee meeting. I think it was last week, but it could have been 2 weeks ago, I think. No, it must have been last week. And put together a report to include in the annual report from the Ferry Service Advisory Board that's sent to the commission every year, essentially outlining a lot of what we did with the survey to the town and indicating our desire to be part of the design phase for a new ferry for Islesboro and for the advisory board and perhaps the finance subcommittee to be involved in that process for other boats too, with an eye for developing and building boats that are less expensive to operate and maintain. But there wasn't a lot new there, and we should be, there'll be a meeting tomorrow and perhaps more report after tomorrow. So any questions about the ferry before we move on? Hearing none. Sea level rise update.
So we successfully enrolled in the Community Resilience Partnership. And in your packet is the close to final draft, but still draft of the community action grant that we hope to submit on Monday or Tuesday. It's due, I think, on Tuesday the 20th. A big thank you to Gabe McPhail, who has done all of the heavy lifting, both with enrollment and with writing this application. We do have a letter of support. They asked you to include letters of support. So there is a draft letter of support that I'm hoping, I don't know if it also, a full copy of it is in the packet.
Yes.
Okay, great. And so if the committee is willing to approve having us sign or having Gabe sign that letter of support on our behalf, with or without changes, I would be most appreciative.
Just make that motion. Moved by Phil,
Second.
second by Warren. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you. The only thing that we don't have to discuss immediately, but I do just want to flag for this committee that a major part of the the grant is basically asking for a part-time planner to help us go through the Narrows planning project. They want us to understand how this may be sustained in the future, and depending on where the project stands, it certainly will likely continue to require work after 2 years. I mean, we hopefully will have a very solid plan, but we're not going to have it, shovels in the ground within 2 years likely. So the language, the way that it's written in the grant right now, basically is that this is a pilot that allows us to get extra capacity as a community, but it's something that we will continue to talk about as a select board and as a town to understand how this additional planning capacity on this project is working, and if it's something that we would want to see continued in the future. That doesn't commit us to anything. Maybe we as a town say, hey, a long-term planner or a part-time planner is really helpful, but it could also look like working more closely with the regional planning commissions with the in Waldo County. So I wanted to flag that because I do think it's conversations that we should continue to have if we had funded for this project in particular. And I know it's something that we have talked a little bit about as a board, just in how we have the capacity as a community to take on big projects. So,
and is there an opportunity if we, at the end of the pilot, if we want to continue with the planner to get apply for other funding to support that?
So probably not from the community action grant, as I understand it, although Gabe is here thankfully to answer questions. But hopefully, I think that's why if we had it as an ongoing, just kind of touch point, that it's something that hopefully is, we could figure out if there's additional funding through other sources that we may want to go for.
Great.
Is there anything you want to add or change or take away, Gabe?
No, and it's correct that we couldn't apply for, more funding through this same grant for the same project, or for the same purpose, I should say. But that I think what's written into the grant, as Shay said, it would just be a conversation that would be had over the next couple years, which is what we're saying the project period for this grant would be. And that what we're saying in the proposal as well is that before the end of the project period comes, there would be some sort of plan for sustainability, whether it's decided that the capacity wasn't needed or there were other creative solutions to retain that capacity. That could be, as Shay mentioned, working with regional Waldo County and regional planning organization. It could be the concept of doing something creative with other islands where everyone's pitching in and there's one hire between or one contracted position between multiple communities. So so there's a variety of options that could be explored, and we don't know what other funding sources are out there. I will say it's less likely that a grant would continue to fund something that's ongoing. I think they want to see, a municipality pick something up. And that's kind of why we're positioning it as a pilot, as opposed to just like, we're going to hire someone. We want to make it clear that we're testing something out and we're building in a level of evaluation and, discussion throughout the processes, like how is this going and is this worth it?
The only thing that I would add is another thing that Gabe is able to help us with is applying for I can't remember this particular acronym now. But
It's a coastal communities grant. I think it's the same one that you got before in 2016 when you did the NOAA. It's through NOAA and it's funded by NOAA, but it's what you got the ransom. We're able to hire ransom with.
So hopefully we can do more detailed engineering studies funded by that grant. I know that we have some additional, monies that we have saved up. So we have a couple of different options, but it would be great if we were successful in getting some more grant funding to help us do that so that we could save what we have put away for implementation funds. So
How much is left in that grant for the ransom for?
So that's completely spent.
Oh,
That was a while ago, and I don't know what the maximum size grant is. I think is it 25
It's 50,000.
for the
The coastal communities grant is also 50,000 with a 25% match, and so that can be in kind. And what we're trying to show is that we can use the capacity of if we get the community action grant, we can use the capacity of that hire to serve in kind as in kind match for the coastal communities grant.
So that's really all I have. But again, a big thank you to Gabe for all of her hard work.
Yay.
Along with the
Thanks to everybody there and committee. Thank you for all your hard work.
thank you for the update. Thank you for all the hard work, both to you, the committee, to Gabe McPhail. It's really nice seeing headway being made on such an important issue. Next on the agenda, municipal building project update. Lauren.
The update is tonight, we talk about and vote whether to approve the warrant article. And if it is approved, then we are tentatively scheduled to have the vote on the 22nd at 5:30 at the, oh, it's changed to 6. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
6.
It's changed.
to 6.
6. Oh, I saw that.
That is
Yeah.
Is it
five.
again?
The
Right.
22nd.
Yeah, and that will be at the Kennicott Center. And then tomorrow night, we have an information meeting Q&A, and that will be at 5:30. That will be Zoomed. Some people may show up, but we're trying to urge people to do Zoom because of COVID on the island. That will be our last information meeting before the vote. If the vote is, if we approve it tonight to have a vote.
Great. So I guess there's not really that much on the agenda. Maybe we want to take it out of order, or we want to just go through any preference from anybody? Hearing none, let's continue. I'd entertain a motion to enter a public hearing about the 2022-23 general assistance appendices.
So moved.
Second,
Melissa, second by Shay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are now in a public hearing to discuss the general assistance appendices. This is something that we go through every year. Janet, can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, every year the state, they update the amounts that we can pay and then we have, you sign it and then we send it to the state and they know that we're in compliance, that we're not changing the ordinance, it's just the appendices. But they do want a public hearing.
So folks can, and these are for general support. It has things like how much support one can receive based on the number of people in a particular household.
Correct. Maximums.
Things of that nature, electricity, heating oil, based on months. And these are things that are all put forth by the state, right?
Correct.
Because we're not coming up with this ourselves.
No, and then people would come to me and fill out an application, and then I would look at this, I would use this at making a determination
For whether they qualify.
for whether they qualify.
Great. What? Any questions for Janet? I would, go ahead.
Are these numbers the same as last year?
No, but they're a little bit different. Yeah, each year it changes a little.
Any more questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the new appendices for 2022-23 general assistance. So moved by Phil,
Second.
second by Lauren. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. I'll circulate this to sign. Okay, next on the agenda, upcoming meetings and subcommittee reports. The municipal building project Q&A is tomorrow. It's going to be mostly via Zoom, as Lauren just mentioned. There's a tentative special town meeting for September 22nd, which is going to depend on the approval tonight of the warrant for that meeting. Then there's also a planning board meeting on September 26th. Town manager report.
I sent out to you the agenda for today, the minutes from the last, it was August 31st meeting, the general assistance ordinance, the special town meeting warrant, the fuel bid information, and notice regarding RJD appraisals, the people who are out here, it's something that they can hand out to people. And they will also have some IDs. They don't have those as of yet. But this will explain why they're coming to someone's house. They may leave it at someone's house, or if they see someone, the bearer of this letter is an employee of RJD. They're not going to put specific names because it may be a total of 8 or 9 different people who come out here at various times. It's not going to be like 2 or 3 people assigned to this spot. And I have a explanation from Vern. I've had several questions from people, why do we have to have a rebill? I don't want to rebill, et cetera, et cetera. So Vern has written an explanation of I've given you the July, August expenses.
Are we legally required to do a revaluation every X years?
Maine state law requires that cities and towns perform a revaluation whenever the ratio of assessment to sales price drops below 70% or the quality of assessments erodes. This has happened in Islesboro. It is a legal requirement that the assessor establish market values reflecting the market for all property to create an equitable distribution of the total tax burden. The last town-wide full revaluation was in 1995. Although value adjustments have been made in the interim, this revaluation will also create an accurate base of inventory for tax purposes. And people were wondering if they have to let the assessor in their house. They don't have to, but as Vern said, he, as an assessor, has a vivid imagination, and it's probably wiser to let him in or them in, but it's not necessary to let them in your house. And then the appointment for John Bolduc, so that's. I mean, I just.
Any questions for Janet before we move on? Hearing none, no correspondence, no old business, on to new business. Authorize and sign special town meeting warrant for September 22nd. I think this has been circulated via email before. I think this does capture what the select board as well as the committee has discussed. I know we did have a meeting with the town's attorney to talk about what the term should be and try to set the language for this, and I think this covers that. Are there any questions? Any? Also, please.
There was something that was posted and brought to my attention earlier with the town putting this out. Is the 22nd too close to have a large public gathering?
That's a really good question. We could,
And I don't know the answer to it. I just said that I would bring it up.
what we did at the information meeting is really widely spaced out.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
We have to talk to Dory.
And have
maybe?
people wear masks.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
preference would be encouraging everybody to wear masks and continuing on with the schedule, but how do others feel about that?
It's a really good question. I hate to put it off, but there's, it's not a good reason. I would defer to Gabe on this one and the vote of the select board, because my guess is that anytime we do it right now, we're apt to have concern on the island, and maybe we just broadcast that please wear a mask, and there's some masks at the location, and if we get pushback, or if Dory says hell no, then we reschedule.
I think there's, I think as we've learned in the last couple of years, there's some chance that things blow up again here more than they already have, and then there might be an inability either for to have the meeting at all. So that's a possibility between now and then.
Well, yeah, but it's very vague. How many people, what are the demographics?
Very.
We don't know the specifics.
Right.
So, and I think unless the health center says that we ought not be having that meeting, my own preference would be to have the meeting and encourage people to wear a mask. I don't mind wearing a mask to go to this meeting and try to conduct this project to get it to the finish line of getting at least the town vote on. I know you, as you know, it's not necessarily a good reason to hold a meeting because there's been a lot of time.
I just went to a wedding and we asked the people who were all staying in the same house and the people attending to try to test people. We could at least suggest that. There's free testing kits. Also, but I think it's going to be a moving target no matter when we schedule it.
Yeah,
Thoughts from others about how to handle this?
Yeah, and I agree. I think, I think that we should proceed with the date. We can, if something changes that the health center feels like they need to request a delay, I think, we should ask them to flag that for us. But I mean, we have 100 students. I mean, I know it's not in the same room, but we've got 100 students in school, largely unmasked every day. I feel like, it's not dissimilar.
Yeah, no, it was just because
Yeah.
the health center had
Yep.
put out the avoid large gatherings.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely
And
worth
so-
asking the question.
Because the school won't require masks.
they won't.
Well, like, you
Right
guys
now.
can.
Oh,
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
we're not changing anything. We don't require testing. We're not.
So with that, it sounds like we're generally in agreement that we'll proceed unless and until something changes or a recommendation comes from the health center. Jan, if you could reach out to the health center and ask them to flag this as a potential concern, and if they think this needs to be delayed, we really want them to let us know so we can act on that.
Yeah,
If it's a concern, we can put that concern out. If they advise that we reschedule, that's a different order of.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
I also think if the weather permits, perhaps we could try to hold it outside. Yeah. Or I guess it's 6 o'clock, if that late, it might start getting dark.
That testing, is it immediate?
That's pretty fast, yeah, it's, I think it was 20 minutes. The one that we picked up from the health center, I think you had to wait 20 minutes for the result.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the warrant for the special town meeting of September 22nd.
So moved.
Moved by Shay, second by Melissa. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Warrant is approved. Okay. Next on the agenda is awarding the 2023 fuel oil bid. Looks like we only have one bid here, is that right?
that's
Jan?
correct.
From Vinyl Energy. Bill, do you want to do the honors? So we will,
And in your packet, I finally remembered after how many years, what last year's, I wrote on here what last year's, I knew Dave,
well, we had that conversation.
every year, I know,
What was it last year?
20 cents a gallon.
20 cent was the market. And I feel like we've often had an offer to lock in a rate for more years for a lower.
It was from them, but I don't know what, yeah. they made it down.
Might be just the payroll and it is. There's expenses, 0.65 per gallon.
Plus 65 cents. So this is triple what the bid was last year.
Triple plus.
Okay. Well, pretty big change from last year. I'm not inclined to jump on and accept it as the one bid that the town has received. We're limited out here in terms of who we might buy oil from, but the large jump makes me concerned, especially because there's no one else actively bidding for this particular thing. Yeah, sure. Hey, Josh and Janice, whoever might answer this, is there a reason that it's triple what it was last year? The cost? Both of you are muted, so I don't know if anybody's trying to answer.
Hey there. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes,
No, we were told from our boss on the reason for the upscale, and that was with the unstable market that there is right now, to only make 65 cents on a gallon of oil seemed appropriate for the time.
And so it's still the cost of the oil plus 65 cents.
yes,
per gallon.
yes.
So the stability of the price of oil doesn't come into play, right? Because it's on top of whatever they have to pay for the oil.
Right.
So if the oil price is high, then
Then it's just high.
it's just
Right.
high.
And then it's 60 cents higher.
I think we gotta table it and sit on it for a week to consider. I'm not prepared to just jump on a single bid for triple what it was last year. That would be my preference, but I'll open up the floor to thoughts from others.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I agree with that.
Table, all right, we'll table this take it up again in 2 weeks.
I can contact Mr. Vinyl.
Josh is raising his hand.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna rebid that, I don't think that's really a fair motion to do, being everybody and their brother who made, I don't know who's seen this, who's gonna report back, but even if you rebid this, it's not really a fair item to do. I don't know what the procedure would be from here forward.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I don't think, I totally agree. I don't know that we're considering rebidding this. But we're gonna assess our options between now and the next meeting. But point taken. Moving on from that, unless there's any more discussion before we move on to the bid.
I have a separate question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Question about the upcoming meeting. If we do have it on the 22nd, can I bring that up now? Can anyone speak whether or not they are able to vote? Or someone asked me this question, I promised that I would ask it at the select board meeting. In other words, I know that you can only vote if you're registered to vote on the island, but is that true also that you can not speak unless you're?
So I think the answer is you have to have approval from the town. From
It may
the-
be a majority of the people there.
Okay.
I mean, someone from out of town.
Out of town or,
Yeah.
or somebody who's not registered on the island, you know, to
they
vote,
have to-
wants to talk against it, or they want to talk for it. And can they or can't they? And that's a question, I had a question from someone who wanted to speak against it. I had a question from somebody who wanted to speak for it. So it's,
I think when that happens, I think inevitably the town will vote to let people speak.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or not, they've chosen not. to.
they've chosen not in the past. Oh, maybe they've chosen not to when they thought it was talked out in the one hearing there.
No, there was something about an architect that was trying to talk about a project.
Really? Okay. Okay.
But
I
if
wasn't
somebody-
there for that.
If it's a summer person, you know,
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
people would.
I say.
I would be,
So the answer is no, they can't as a matter of course speak, but historically, apparently, most of the time, not maybe, perhaps not all the time, but most of the time, the town does vote to let folks share.
How many do you anticipate?
I have no idea.
I mean, this shouldn't turn into a free for all.
Well, it's the public, it's like a public hearing,
Yeah,
having it,
that's right.
people can discuss it as long as people, you know, the board wants to discuss it.
I mean, letting others speak. who
Yeah.
Don't vote.
Yeah, I think the challenge I could see is if someone is a seasonal resident, largely, if people are recognized, it's unknown if they claim residency here or not for the purposes of voting. So I think that just becomes a challenge to manage.
Then we just look up, you know, we see who it is if they're on the voting list.
Okay, so that is.
That's- Oh, yeah, yeah. And they won't have a little card to raise the vote. You only
Oh,
get
good
that if
point.
you're.
Raise
Those are-
your card to speak.
Those are hard to counterfeit too.
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you what color they'll be.
And I have been to a number of town meetings, and so I should know the answer to all these questions, but well, at the time we elect somebody to moderate the meeting, and they will moderate the meeting. But then people can come up and ask to speak in any order at any time about anything.
Well, if it's still in discussion.
Okay.
It'd be up to the moderator, you know, they have to ask. Question, then he's the one that says, you know, put it to a vote.
Okay.
Be nice if it could all be voice vote instead of going up to write about, but I'm sure it'd be written.
Who will be the moderator?
It
Gets elected.
gets elected that day.
Carrie, would you like to be the moderator?
Another job.
Any other questions or thoughts before we move on? The agenda is to approve warrant number 6 for year 2023.
So moved.
Moved by Shay. Second by Melissa. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, yes.
Can I ask you questions on budget stuff as we, I don't know what month it is. Right, so I guess as we near the end of the first quarter, I don't remember when we kind of get a report, like a budget that shows actual to date against the budget, but I just feel like around, at least once a quarter, it would be helpful to get that kind of report as
Well,
well.
what I've given you is that it's for July and August, the expense. Kathy printed this out. It was after the last meeting that she had finished her.
Look at that.
It's just expenses. I didn't ask her for
I haven't
revenue.
gotten that far. The
Oh,
last
okay.
thing in the
I
packet.
thought I could have left
Perfect.
it out of your packet.
Thank you so much.
Good,
I appreciate it.
So these
Very
are just
helpful.
expenses without any revenue.
correct. That would be a separate report. And if you want both of them, I mean, I can make sure next time she gives you the revenues also.
But
But
the net is what we have spent year to date this
and
fiscal
it
year.
shows you what's,
Thank you.
So. Unexpected balance, okay. I see. All right, any other questions before we move on? None. We have an appointment of John Bowler to the Alice L. Pendleton Library Trust as a trustee. Entertain a motion. So moved. Moved by Warren,
Second.
second by Shay. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks to John for.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Chair comments. No comments from me today. Vice Chair comment, Shay.
I'm good.
Let's see. Melissa. Bill.
Nothing to say.
Lauren gets the last word.
I'm a happy camper.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody. Another
Thank you,
successful
Carrie.
meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. My box.
Your name must have been on the back.
Industrial town furniture, outdoor furniture.
You never know.